What is going on, everybody? Vex30 here, coming with a new video, and today we are finally dropping our ranked support tier list for the patch. So ranked supports this patch actually feel really good, and I feel very, very confident about this tier list and everything I have said here and done in this tier list. To be honest, it's probably one of the more confident tier lists I've ever made in what I've said and where I've placed things. As always with every tier list, be sure to leave your comments down below and your feedback. Let's not get hostile about it. Remember, some things are really just up to the player, you know, cards, builds, yada, yada, yada. So some people really think something's good because they haven't realized something else, or it's because of their rank. As I talked about in the video, sometimes rank does affect what people's perspective on these champions. And again, this is coming from a former pro and a current GM in the season, in Masters last season, just because I didn't play enough. But yeah, this is a very high level support tier list, and I actually might make a second support tier list for lower ranks and for grinding ranks. So, but yeah, keep on the lookout for that. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those fun things. If you want to go check us playing ranked every single day, go on our Twitch at Vex30. But besides that, let's go and jump into the video and let's talk about some supports. All right, it's finally here. Let's jump right into the tier list. You heard all the info. You heard all the things about it. Let's jump right into it. So, starting off with Fyria. Fyria recently had Solar Blessing change, where when you throw the beam, you can reactivate it for it to stop. It was a good change, and I think it's better for Solar Blessing as a whole, and it makes it more versatile to use, but there are some apparent issues with it that come with using it with not so experienced players, or any players in general. They don't look for the beam and they don't listen for it, and they just don't use it. So I'm sorry to Fyria, but I gotta put her at D. Solar Blessing honestly doesn't feel very good. It feels good, but it doesn't feel great to use in ranked, to be honest. I really wish the beam, whenever the beam's traveling across the ground, there's an indicator below it for when you repress Q, you know where your beam is. So right now you're kind of just winging it and eyeballing it. So that'd be good in the quality of life feature. But right now, Fyria is D, still a strong ultimate, great damage, but her healing output really isn't that good, and Cherish isn't that good. So let's move on to Grok. Grok also got a few nerfs this patch and has been nerfed in general. Got him totem, I think totem cooldown increased by like 2 seconds. Hurt him a lot for totemic ward, and got the healing reduced from 30% to 10% extra. Here's the thing with that. It's not even working and hasn't been working for a while, the bonus healing, so it's really hard to tell Grok, but I don't think 10% is going to be much, plus the cooldown increase. We're also going to put Grok down at D. Doesn't feel like a good support, can be a decent off support, but is not a good main support. Next, Grover. Big Daddy Grover, that's what we call him out here. He is the strongest support in the game right now. His versatility, his utility, his damage, his healing, all amazing. His healing, though, not as high as some champions, but what Grover does bring to the table is a great ultimate, great damage, and great utility. That's what makes him S. Grover is by far the strongest support, and kind of is a ban, needs to be banned if you're second pick, because he's so strong and can dominate games so completely and utterly easy. And with that being said, I do think Grover is a higher tier, higher level champion in ranked. I think when you're at like your silvers and golds, he's not going to be that good, because with Grover, people need to know how to get out of caught to get healed, because his heals in caught really don't feel good, to be honest. So I think as long as you know how to play Grover and you're playing with decent enough players, he is the best of the best. Honestly, he's no match to him. Next, Io. I think towards the end of last season, I thought Io was starting to find a place in the meta, and she's starting to feel decent. There's something about her that feels decent to play, but she's still not there. And again, the meta's currently forming, so it's very hard to test her this season. We've been grinding ranked and we've been playing a lot of meta supports, so it's very hard to test things like Io. But right now, where I think she is currently is C. What is really holding her back is probably her ultimate. Her ultimate is not very good. The best thing you can use it as peel for people to try to keep them alive, peel for yourself to keep yourself alive, or as a counter ult, like say Barrack ults on point and you throw the ult at him to get him out of his ult. Same thing with Ashe. Outside of that, Io feels a bit underwhelming with Lifelink or Goddess Blessing, either or. Underwhelming, not amazing. Genos, on the other hand, did have some buffs to Luminary. So let me try to explain this, and you can go watch a Genos video or two of mine if you really need a good explanation on what this means. Genos got a buff to Luminary to where if somebody already has a mark, when you mark somebody else, they get a bonus 250 healing, the person that was already marked. The person that's getting marked only gets the 300. And if you heal somebody who is marked again, they get the 300 plus the 250. So it's really good single target healing and helps with your AoE healing. Luminary, great buff. Genos feels really good, but there's some caveats to it. Let's go ahead and place him. He's going to be B. Genos could be considered C on certain maps where other sports are just more dominant, but on maps like Timbermill, Jaguar Falls, Genos dominates. And if you're not getting, no spoilers, but the next one is going to go one above Genos. The top 2 supports, you're looking for probably Genos on Timber or Jag, and even sometimes on Jag over the character going in A could be better. Genos feels really strong on maps with not very many line of sights, with a lot of walls, a lot of blockages, because he can get that free heal across the map, not across the map, but free heal through walls. So I like Genos, I like where he's at, and I'm going to put him at B. Next, let's take a look at Mal Damba, my baby girl. Damba still feels great. He doesn't get changes because he doesn't need changes. He is a perfectly well-balanced machine, honestly. Damba is super well-balanced. One of the best character designs I think hi-rez has ever came up with. Great damage, great ultimate, great utility, great healing, great everything. We're going to put him at A. When Grover is banned and you know how to play Damba, he will be your next go-to support outside of the ones in B. Damba is a go-to support without Grover on the board. He is very strong. He holds up well in the meta. He stays alive. He does a ton of damage. Great ultimate. Even with Resi, his ultimate's good into certain characters. Like say you want to drop a Fernando shield real quick because he's one shot, so he stays uncaught. Boom. Keep it down for a second. Reapply caught. Do damage to him. Easy clap. Ton of utilities for Damba and usefulness. Damba A, very balanced character and is your second go-to outside of Grover. Next, talk about Pip. So Pip is a very interesting one. I'm debating putting him C or B still in my head, but I've landed on putting him at C, and let me explain. I think Combat Medic, specifically on Pip, is a very good healing tool on maps like Bright Marsh, Stone Keep, and Bazaar even. But Combat Medic is one of the hardest, if not the hardest support to play. So a good Pip, I would take and put him at B. If you are a very, very good Pip and know how to use him and know his nuances, then you are a B tier support. But if not, kind of C. Can be used by okay Pip players, but is really not going to get as much value because you're not going to be hitting those autos and you're not going to know who to throw your pot to. So Pip is B if you're a really good Pip player, but if not, definitely a C tier character. Ray, I was debating putting her on this list. It's really hard to tell. She's not a ranked support currently. She's not in. But right now, to give you my thoughts and opinions on her, I think she's also C tier. I think she is very map dependent, less on the character themselves or the person playing Ray themselves and more on the map. Stone Keep, Bright Marsh. That's where I'd play her, and that's really it as a main support. Outside of that, she doesn't feel very strong. She has some very strong cards, but her range and her healing are definitely lacking currently. I would say specifically her range. But I don't know. She just doesn't feel amazing. But on those maps, she actually feels broken. So it's kind of weird. I would put her at B if we were talking about Bright Marsh and Stone Keep specifically. But for now, we keep her at C. Saris actually feels really good right now. She just the HPS outfit always is going to feel good, honestly. High HPS always feels great, even though Fade to Black was nerfed. If you want to go check out the nerfs, be sure to go check them in game. It was basically add an internal cooldown on Fade to Black at 5 seconds to where you can't keep spamming it over and over to get your Ghost Walk up every 3 seconds. It's a really good nerf. But Saris, B. And with this champion and Ying, let's just spoil it. Ying's also going to go B. When Grover or Damba are not on the board, you're looking for probably Genos, Saris, or Ying. Let me talk about Ying and Saris in the same boat because they're both going B. Ying and Saris both B. So Saris, let's talk about her, then Ying, and then them together, and let's talk about the whole meta as a whole. Saris herself, she's one of those champions that's easy to use, and if Grover and Damba are both banned, and you're not looking at like a Jaguar Falls or a Timber, you're probably taking Saris because of ease of use. Her ulti is getting somewhat value. People are finding, figuring out how to use her ulti. I see a lot more Saris ults being thrown well and hit well compared to before. I don't know why exactly that is. And her healing just feels really good. You can't deny that. So, and yeah, I'm not going to lie with you guys. Yeah, we're going to cut in real quick. I almost forgot about a support. I I actually almost forgot about support because they just feel so terrible. I looked right over him. Corvus. Corvus doesn't feel good. I know other regions, specifically Brazil, is playing a lot of Corvus, and I don't understand why. He does not bring a ton of healing. He doesn't bring a ton of utility. His ultimate is dog doo-doo. I don't like him as a character right now. He feels terrible to play. He's a heal bot that doesn't do a lot of healing. He's a heal bot that brings no utility, brings a little bit of damage, no good ultimate. So honestly, Corvus is down there at D. I kind of want to put him F, and I kind of want to put Grok F, but I don't know. I think if you pick Corvus, you're not specifically throwing, but you are hindering yourself because there are far better picks you could be picking. But yeah, there's Corvus. Sorry for the cut in there, but I almost forgot about him. I'm not gonna lie. Ying has the same thing. Her healing feels amazing. What Ying has on Seris, though, are two things. One, typically you're getting more damage as Ying and more effective damage as Ying. And two, a better ultimate, way far superior ultimate. And Ying has slower but more spread healing, while Seris has more concentrated healing. The differences between the two. But if you're going into ranked and let's just say Grover's banned and the other team take Damba, I don't think you're picking either of these champions. I think if you want to play Seris or Ying, it's up to you. I think they're both strong and both feel good in this meta. If you're on a Timber Mill, though, I would definitely take Genos or a Jag. I would probably take Genos. Jag is debatable between these three, but I still think probably Jag on Genos on Jag. But yeah, man, I don't know. When it comes to Seris and Ying, I really don't think there's a preference. I think it's just player preference. They both feel solid right now. And Seris, what she has going on Ying that Ying doesn't is she's easy to use. When I'm in ranked and we are in mid-draft ban and they don't have a support and Grover is banned, Damba's picked. I have a Damba, let's say. I ban Seris over Ying because Seris is easier to use. I force the enemy team on a harder support. So let's just say their support player isn't a support main or not very good at support. You'd rather them play Ying than Seris. It just is what it is. Plus, Seris is better at lower ranks. And I'm actually going to do a whole video on this at some point. But Seris is a very good champion up to about plat, probably gold. And that's when players start to learn how to get out of caught and play around supports a bit better. But until then, HPS is king. Utility is king, probably plat and above. Healing is probably king, gold and below, I believe. I haven't really worked that out in my head yet, but that's kind of like my initial thoughts on it. But that's what Seris has the advantage, just ease of use. But yeah, there's the support tier list. It wasn't very long, wasn't very hard to do. Played a lot of ranked, and I'm very confident in every single one of these placements, and I do not feel bad about any of them. I do not think, outside of Grok, that's why I was thinking about putting Grok F, but I didn't. I don't think any of these picks are a throw pick. I think as long as you somewhat know that support, you got it. And as you can see, we just cut again because at the end of that right there, as you heard, I had the realization, wow, we forgot Corvus. But yeah, I don't think any of these picks are a throw picks. Seriously, I think if you're picking any of them, you can win games. They are viable. Difference between viable and meta. If I would say, so viable and meta, viable means you can play them and not be throwing, quote unquote throwing. Meta means you should play these, just like Grover and Damba are meta. Genos, Seris, Ying are meta. See below, more viable than meta. But yeah, I don't think you're throwing as any of them, and I hope you enjoyed this tier list. I hope, be sure to give me your comments down below. Curious what you think. Besides that, I hope you all enjoyed. I also hope you enjoy your day, night, evening, morning, dawn, dusk, whatever it is where you live. And I will see you in the next one. Later.